None of this would have happened if I had just minded my own business. But when you see your neighbor leave his house every single night at exactly 3:00 a.m., eventually curiosity gets the better of you. At first I told myself it was nothing. Maybe he worked night shifts. Maybe he had insomnia. Maybe he just liked late night walks. But the strange part wasn't that he left. It was how he left. No lights, no phone, no car. He'd just step out of the house, look both ways down the street like he was making sure no one was watching, and then disappear into the darkness. And for 3 weeks straight, it happened every single night. Same time, 3:00 a.m. So eventually, I did something I probably shouldn't have done. One night, I decided to follow him. The first few nights I noticed it. I honestly didn't think much about it. I'm a light sleeper, and my bedroom window faces the street. Around 3 in the morning, I'd hear the faint creak of a door opening somewhere outside. One night, I looked out the window just in time to see my neighbor stepping out of his house. His name was Mark, late 30s, quiet guy. The type who waves if you pass him on the sidewalk, but never really stops to talk. That night, he just stood on his porch for a moment, looking down the empty street. Then he walked off. I figured maybe he was going for a walk. But the next night, it happened again. 3:00 a.m., same door creak, same quiet street, same careful look around before leaving. After the 4th night, I started checking the clock every time, and every single time, it was exactly 3:00 a.m. Not 2:58, not 3:02, exactly 3. That's when it started feeling strange. The other weird thing was that he never turned any lights on. The house would stay completely dark, like he didn't want anyone inside to know he'd left. At first I told myself maybe I was overthinking it. But once you notice something like that, you can't really unnotice it. Every night I found myself waking up just before 3, waiting. And sure enough, the door would open. Eventually, curiosity got the better of me. One Friday night, I stayed awake on purpose. I sat by the window with the lights off so no one could see me, just watching the street. When the clock on my phone turned to 2:59, my heart started beating faster for no reason. The neighborhood was dead quiet. No cars, no people. Just the orange glow of the streetlights and the faint sound of wind moving through the trees. Then the door across the street opened. Right on time. Mark stepped outside exactly the way he always did. Same dark jacket, same slow look up and down the street. For a second I thought he might see me watching, even though my room was dark. But he didn't. He just stepped off the porch and started walking. Not toward the main road, not toward the park. He walked straight down the narrow sidewalk that leads behind our houses, toward the wooded area at the edge of the neighborhood. And that's when I decided. Tonight I was going to see where he was going. I threw on a hoodie, slipped on my shoes, and stepped outside as quietly as I could. The cold air hit me immediately. For a moment I wondered if this was a stupid idea. But by then Mark was already halfway down the path behind the houses. If I waited any longer, I'd lose him. So I followed. I kept my distance, staying far enough back that he wouldn't hear my footsteps. The path behind the houses leads into a small strip of woods. It's not huge, just a patch of trees between our neighborhood and the old service road. During the day, people walk their dogs there. At 3 in the morning, though, it felt completely different. Darker, quieter. Mark didn't hesitate when he reached the trees. He just walked straight in. The moment he disappeared between the branches, I felt this weird hesitation in my chest. Like my brain was telling me maybe this was the point where I should turn around. But instead I kept going. The deeper into the woods we went, the quieter everything became. No wind, no insects, just the sound of our footsteps on the dirt path. Then suddenly, Mark stopped. I froze. He was about 20 feet ahead of me, standing in the middle of a small clearing. For a second, I thought maybe he'd heard me, But he didn't turn around. He just stood there, perfectly still. Then something even stranger happened. He looked up, not at the trees, not at the sky, just straight up into the darkness above the clearing, and then he spoke, quietly, like he was talking to someone standing right in front of him, except there was no one there. I couldn't make out every word, but I definitely heard one sentence. "I'm here." My stomach dropped, because he said it like someone who had been expected. And then, something moved above us in the trees. At first I told myself it was just the wind. Branches move all the time. Animals run through the trees at night. There had to be a normal explanation for whatever I just saw. But Mark didn't react like someone who heard a branch move. He stayed perfectly still, staring upward. Then he nodded, not once, 3 times, like someone had just answered him. I felt this cold knot forming in my stomach, because there was nothing there, at least nothing I could see. Then Mark slowly reached into his pocket and pulled something out. Even from where I was standing, I could tell it was small. A flashlight, maybe. Except he didn't turn it on. He just held it up toward the trees, like he was offering it to something above him. That's when the branches started moving again. Not like an animal jumping around, more like something large shifting its weight. Something heavy enough to make the branches bend. And suddenly I realized something that made the hair on my arms stand up. Whatever was up there wasn't moving away. It was moving down. Mark took a step back. Not scared, almost respectful, like he was giving something space to land. That's when my brain finally caught up with what was happening. This wasn't some weird late-night walk. This wasn't insomnia. Mark wasn't wandering around the woods at 3 a.m. He was meeting something, and whatever it was, it had just noticed me, because the movement in the branches stopped, completely. And for a second, the entire forest went silent. Then Mark slowly turned his head, not toward the trees, toward me, even though I was standing in the dark behind the bushes. He looked straight in my direction, like he knew I'd been there the whole time. And that's when he said something that still keeps me awake at night. "You weren't supposed to follow." The next thing I heard was something heavy hitting the ground behind him, and I ran. I didn't turn around. I didn't stop. I just ran until I reached my house, slammed the door, and locked every window in the place. The next morning, Mark's house looked completely normal. Car in the driveway, curtains closed, like nothing had happened. But here's the part that really messes with me. Last night, I woke up at exactly 3:00 a.m., and when I looked out the window, Mark wasn't walking toward the woods. He was standing across the street, right in front of my house, just staring at my door. And if you enjoy creepy stories like this one, make sure you subscribe. Because trust me, that's not the worst thing that's happened on this street.